Hi, co-creators and parents or other supporters. We are here on my patio. Hi, I'm Pastor Leah, the director of Vacation Bible School for La Jolla United Methodist Church. We're out on my patio today for our craft experiment. We are playing with kinetic sand today, and I'm really excited to show you how to make this. It's really fun, kind of weird, stretchy, goopy sand. And I've been playing with it this morning, and I hope you will join me in making some. So, in your craft kit bag, you will have a bag that says Monday, and it says kinetic sand on it. Yours won't have the list of ingredients, but it'll say Monday kinetic sand. So grab that bag, and it will have just about everything you need except a couple of tools. So I have, in addition to what's in the craft bag, a small bowl for mixing. Really, any size bowl will work. This is a really small one. I have a tablespoon and a teaspoon for measuring, and I have a chopstick for stirring. You could also use a fork. Any non-wooden chopstick would probably work just fine. I wanted to be able to clean the glue off of this, so I didn't want to use a wooden one, but any kind of metal or plastic utensil should work just fine for stirring. I also already put 1 teaspoon of water in my mixing bowl. So you can start with 1 teaspoon of water, and you can probably see that I've been playing with sand already today. So I have one batch here. We are gonna make another one together. Now, kinetic sand is made of sand, so I would definitely suggest doing this craft experiment outside or somewhere in your house where you can lay down some newspapers or a broken down cardboard box. That's what I'm using for a work surface, or even a plastic bag, a trash bag that's cut open that you can lay flat will do. Anywhere that you don't mind getting sandy, because we are working with sand today. So in your craft bag, you'll have 1 bag of play sand, 1 bottle of glue, and then 3 small ramekins. This one is dish soap, the blue one. This kind of liquidy milky one isn't milk, don't drink it. This is liquid laundry starch. And then a white powdery one, that is cornstarch. So try not to get any of these liquids or even the cornstarch in your mouth or in your eyes. If you do, flush it out with water. If someone drinks a whole ramekin of dish soap or laundry starch, call poison control, but just mix them into the sand and don't get them in your mouth or eyes. So like I said, I already started with 1 teaspoon of water in here, and to that we are gonna add first 1 teaspoon of our cornstarch. So 1 teaspoon. These measurements don't need to be exactly precise, so I'm just leveling this off with my finger. Hope you can see that. Level it off with my finger, and we're just gonna add that in. Get a little more of it out with my finger. And set that aside. I'm gonna cover this back up so no one gets into it that's not supposed to. And then I'm just gonna stir the cornstarch and the water together a little bit. Now, I already have some ingredients in my bowl, so it's a little harder for me, but it's mixing just fine. So you have a little slurry of cornstarch and water. I just realized I forgot to talk about kinetic sand, so I'm gonna try to do that while we're assembling our liquid ingredients. So we just mixed some cornstarch and water, and next we are gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of the liquid starch. So I'm just gonna use my teaspoon measure and get about 1/4 of the way full. A little more than that. So just about 1/4 teaspoon of liquid starch. You might know that the word kinetic has to do with motion. So the idea of kinetic sand is that it's sand that moves that you can play with, and it's kind of weird and stretchy and gloopy, and it holds together instead of just behaving like regular sand that, you know, streams. Or sand actually acts a lot like a fluid if you think about it, but this stuff you can compress, you can stretch it out, you can play with it, you can mold it into different shapes if you want. It's really fun. I like it a lot. And we're playing with sand today because our story was about God creating the world and humans. And when God created humans in our story from today, God created them out of the dust of the earth, or created the first human out of the dust of the earth and breathed life into the human. And that is how the story, the Bible says, that we came to be. And I love that story because it talks about the relationship of humans to the earth and how we humans were meant to care for the earth, and that God took great care with our form, our creation. And I love that because we are also creators in the world, right? We can't bring people to life out of the dirt, but we can bring sculpture, right? Art. We can grow things or help tend gardens' growth. So we are co-creators with God, and I think that's really exciting. And we are playing with sand today because our story was about dust and the earth. So I just added our liquid starch to my mixture. So now I'm gonna add some dish soap. So dish soap is the blue container, or the container of blue liquid. And we're gonna just add a few drops. So what I'm gonna do, here's my dog saying hi to the neighbors. Daphne, it's okay. Daphne, it's okay, leave it. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you guys. She will probably join us several more times during the week. If not in the frame, at least you'll hear her voice. Okay, so I just got a little bit of dish soap in my teaspoon. I'm gonna just drop it in slowly. And we just want to do a few drops. Okay. And I don't know if you watched your bowl when you dropped that in, but soap has a fun way of breaking up the surface tension of water. So you might see that it did weird things to the liquids that are already inside your bowl, and I love that. It's really fun. So we added some dish soap. I'm just going to give that a quick stir. Stir that together. It's fun to see the blue liquid swirling around with the white slurry. All right, that's mixed. And now the next thing we're going to add is our glue. I might have forgotten to mention glue on the list of things that you have in your craft bag for today, but you should have a bottle of Elmer's. And we are gonna add about 2 teaspoons. Now a teaspoon is 1/3 of a tablespoon, so I'm just gonna go about 2/3 full in my tablespoon, or maybe 3/4, because not all of the glue will come out. So that's enough glue. And we're just gonna dump that in. Get a little extra out with my chopstick here. And again, we're just gonna mix this together. It's gonna be really gloopy and fun. Some of my sand from my previous iteration is still in there, so it's already getting absorbed. Okay, this looks super great. Very stretchy, very gloopy. I'll show you what it looks like. You can see that it's starting to form kind of a ball. It's pretty stretchy, pretty fun. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna do is start to add our sand. So starting with the sand still in the bag, I'm just gonna add a big pinch at a time and kind of mix it together. So we are just mixing that around in our glutinous mixture. No gluten, just glue. Oh man, that's really stretchy and fun. I love it. And we're just gonna keep doing that. It's not very liquidy, so I'm gonna pour this out actually onto my work surface. There's Daphne again saying hi to some neighbors. She always wants to go and play with them. She's very upset that she can't go play. Do you have that feeling ever? Maybe a lot now. You're upset that you can't play with your friends. I understand. And I'll tell you what, my dog understands too. Okay, we've got this gloopy, sandy mixture on our work surface, or you can keep it in the bowl if you have a larger bowl. If you have like a dishwashing tub that you're using to mix in, you can definitely keep it in there. That is okay. I like that idea. Use a large container to mix this up. And like I said, I'm just adding this like a big pinch at a time. It is sand, so it is gonna kind of get everywhere until it starts to congeal together. And we're gonna knead this together like bread. So you're gonna have some sand in your bowl or on your work surface. It's gonna take a little bit of mixing. This is totally how you knead bread, and so we're just gonna do that for a little while. In your craft bag, in your bag of play sand, it probably says that you have a half a cup of play sand, and that is the amount, half cup, that the recipe recommended, but you actually have 1 cup. So I wouldn't use all of your play sand at first. That's why we're adding a little bit at a time. I wrote those labels before I scooped the amount in. Man, this is fun. As you continue to mix, you can see hopefully that it's getting stretchy and gloopy. It's still pretty sticky at this point, so we're definitely gonna add some more sand. Gonna reach in and get another big pinch. Generous pinch. Just pour it on top and then continue to mix it in. I think this kneading technique is working really well. If any of you co-creators have made bread, you'll know this technique. If you've made a bread that needs kneading, just keep kind of folding it over on itself and pushing it together, and that's working really well for me. If you are experimenting with other ways of mixing, that is okay too. This week is all about experimenting with our crafts. I'm excited about this week. I hope you're excited too. This is so stretchy and so fun. I will say on my first batch, I used a little too much water. I started with a tablespoon instead of a teaspoon, so I'm doing it over, and this batch is turning out much, much better. So definitely, if you follow those measurements, you don't have to follow them to a T. They will also be in, well, they are also in the description of this YouTube video. I just added another decent pinch of sand. If not all of your sand incorporates into your Kinetic sand lump, that is okay. It just means you've reached the point that the wet ingredients plus cornstarch can't hold them together anymore. So what you end up with will just be the amount that is right for the liquid that you used. So that's great. This is so fun. It's stretchy and it's not that sticky anymore. It's just a little bit sticky. Now, if you are watching this all the way through before you start, good for you. You can add food color at 2 different points. So I think I also forgot to mention that you have food coloring in your craft kit for today. I don't have any, so you all have all the food coloring. But you can add it at 2 points. You could add it now at kind of towards the end of the process when your sand is holding together, but maybe not quite finished and you're still mixing a little. You can just add a few drops at a time of whatever color you want. And now is a really fun time if you are the parent or co-creator supporter of your little co-creator, then you can help them with their colors. So you have some primary colors plus green, and you can talk about what colors go together to make other colors, which I love. And you can do that, like I said, at this stage, or you can do it in the liquid ingredients. So it's fun to say start with a couple of drops of blue, mix those in, and then add a couple of drops of red, mix those in, and see what happens. A reminder that if you pour in drops of every color, you're gonna get a shade of brown. So that is okay. Brown sand is natural. That's what we have here. But I know some creator friends of mine get disappointed when they mix all the colors together and they think they're going to get a rainbow, and what they actually get is a shade of brown. So we like to be careful with our colors, but creative. So you can talk about what colors go together to make other colors before you mix them into your sand. You can experiment with some markers or some paint if you want before you mix it into your sand or after. I love talking about color. So I kept on kneading my sand as I was talking, and it got stickier and more sand got incorporated. So I just added one more handful, and we're gonna see how that goes as we mix and mix and mix and mix and mix. I think this stuff is pretty fun. We're having a good time. And if you had added color kind of at that second to last point when you were still mixing, and then you added another handful of sand, you might add one more drop of color or not, either way, to your own desired shade and brightness. Now my dog is whining because she wants breakfast. Okay, I might come back to this and add more sand again later, but right now it is feeling a lot like the Kinetic sand you buy in the store. It's not sticky, except that it's holding the sand together, so you do get a little bit of stick on your hands, but it's mostly holding together. We are using a coarser grit of sand, I might have said that already, than the play sand that you buy in the store. So it is going to feel a lot more like normal wet sand, but it does have this fun stretch to it. So you can kind of stretch it out and just play with it and see how it feels. You can make some sculptures and you should be able to come back to it and play with it again later. If you want to save this, it will dry out. So you could try, if it does dry out, you could try rehydrating it. Just add a few drops of water at a time. And if you want to keep it for a while, you can definitely put it in a plastic container that you don't mind getting a little bit sandy and cover it. If you want to be especially sure that it won't dry out, you might add just a little bit of plastic wrap just directly on the top, or a little bit of wax paper directly on the top to keep any extra moisture in the sand. But everything is an experiment this week, so we are experimenting with our kinetic sand, we're experimenting with how to store it, we're experimenting with colors. It's really fun. Okay, I am in love with this stuff. It's stretchy. Might have added just a little bit too much sand, but it's really fun to like mess with and play with. It's a fun sensory experience. So I hope you had fun making your homemade kinetic sand. That's a fun, easy recipe. You can find all of these ingredients in your supermarket. You might have to go to like Target or something for laundry starch. I'm not sure if you can find that in the grocery store, but it's all really easy to find, and you have enough of the ingredients in your craft bag to make a few batches if you can find sand. So you can sift sand from the beach, or if you have a sandbox, you can sift sand out of your sandbox from your yard. And it is really fun and easy to make. I do just recommend doing it outside because my work surface is all sandy, my jeans are all sandy. But this was super fun. I hope you had fun, and I hope you are enjoying this first day of online VBS. I'm so glad to be with you, and I will see you at our next activity. So if you're watching this before story time, I'll see you at story time. If you're watching this after story time, I hope you have fun with the rest of the day's activities.